This is my girlfriend. She's behaving like a baby.
Ah, I have a blister.
Because she has a blister. Yesterday, we cut this house wrap a 1/4 inch off of the trim all the way around. If we had applied the house wrap properly and straight on the bottom, we would not have needed to do that, but we did. Then we finished putting up the house wrap. Then we put up all the windows.
Hey,
taking video. Kate's dying. We put up all the windows yesterday, and I talked a lot about the flashing tape around the windows. The last thing I didn't talk about is we cut that flap above the window, and then we put another piece of house tape on top of the window frame over the other pieces of tape, and then we bring the flap down, and then eventually we staple the flap back, and then the trim goes all over all of this. Basically, you have to imagine you're a water droplet, and what are all the ways you could get behind the window and prevent all of that from happening? We cut out skylight. Ben cut out a skylight. Then we discovered that we had the wrong flashing tape for the skylight that we have and the kind of roof that I'm going to have. So installing the skylight is delayed. I spent the whole morning painting trim black. We cut some of these pieces to size. Here's some more. And then I painted a bunch of it. Some of it has 2 coats, some of it has 1. Some of it could use some more paint. But I'm pretty much done with painting for right now. So here's all the other pieces I painted. And this will all go up on the corners and around the windows and around the door. And then there are pieces that go under the eaves that are called soffit and fascia, and I don't understand why we don't just call them trim. And it's all super cool and super fancy. We will get siding and roofing tomorrow. We will get ice and shield under the roof. I don't know what else will happen. I have found all of the ways to paint a board wrong. Ben's laughing at me. It's true. And yet they're all painted black. So somehow something must have happened, right? Yeah, lunchtime. I don't know if anything else is going to happen today. I guess we'll see. Bye. Okay. So this morning we put trim around the windows. This is what that looks like. It's these big black pieces. And we cut all this out yesterday, and the length of the pieces around the bottoms and the tops are the window length plus the length of a piece of trim. And we pre-painted them, and they were already primed, and there was sanding and there was beveling involved to get the edges smooth. Like you can see, the corners are smooth here. And there was some cleaning up because like the back is kind of rough, so there was a bunch of stuff sticking out that needed to be sanded off. And then we painted it black, and then we cut it to length, and then we drilled some pilot holes, and then you can see on the side there are these cuts. That's called a rabbet, a cut out of a corner, and it's like this thing gets cut out, or like this thing, more like it's a little flatter, and that's because it's fitting around the part of the window that you can't see anymore. I can't remember what that's called. Flange?
What?
The part of the window that we cut the rabbets out to fit around.
Oh yeah, the nail flange.
The nail flange. The nail flange. Yeah, so it's sitting flush with the house because it's got this bite taken out of it, and fits around it neatly. And then we drilled it in and went all the way up and did it all the way around. And it's going on top of the tape so that all of the water stays out from behind the window. And then at the top you can see there's a piece of Z flashing sitting flush with the top of the window trim, and then the pieces that we cut of the house wrap have come down and go over top of that. And there could be some more tape involved to kind of pin things down neatly. And then we will staple that house wrap down some more. And we also put extra little bit of tape on the corners of the Z flashing around the wheel wells, just to try to keep as much water out as possible. Everything's got Z flashing. So the next step will be to paint the ends of these that are plain where we did the cuts, and to fill in the holes where we drilled them into the side of the house, and then to paint that black and just do some like touch-ups everywhere, and it'll be super persnickety and kind of obnoxious. And then we will do the siding, and that will be really cool. I'm pretty excited for that part. Everybody has really terrible allergies. And so we're all wondering, or at least I'm wondering, oh my God, do I have COVID-19? Is it the pandemic? But no, it is just antihistamine and Tylenol and suffering. That is my life. Sneezing a lot. Yeah. I feel like I've been somewhat remiss on the videoing, but I'm going to try to explain what I have been up to the last couple of days. So, the coolest thing is that the skylight is now up there and in the hole that is designed for it. Very exciting. This is not a process I fully understand, because I have basically spent zero amount of time on the roof, but underneath the frame, on the outside of the roof, are pieces of metal flashing, basically. And then the window. And then more flashing tape. And then there will be more metal. And then we will do ice and shield, or maybe it's the other way around. It's the whole process. There's an instruction manual. If I had to do it myself, I would probably not do it myself. Because holes in your roof are important things to get right. What I've been doing is work on the trim on the outside. So we've got these corner pieces. They go all the way up to the top, and then you can see the fascia piece is up there on the outside, on both sides. That like black thing is called fascia. And the best explanation I've gotten for why it's not called trim is that would be confusing, because we were talking about different parts of the house. But this is trim, and it's the same color. So we've cut it, and it goes up there, and it fits. And the thing is that some of these pieces are like slanted like this, because it's fitting under the rafters on the roof. And so, you know, these pieces are cut like this, and then the other side of the house, they're cut in different ways, and you have to get it all right. And I don't really understand it, and it's a lot. So, you know, there's an expert involved. But we cut them, and then we screwed them in, and then we took putty and we filled the holes, and then I will go around and sand these, and then I will paint them black, and so it will all match and look pretty nice. Same with the fascia. It's cut and then it's screwed into the rafters, and that goes all the way down to the end, except where we're missing a piece because our board was too short, so we'll have to fix that eventually. And then the other thing that goes underneath the rafters, oh my God, I'm gonna walk under a ladder, scary, is the soffit, which are these pieces that Ben has been working on. And these have like little holes in them. And then on the other side, so we'll turn this over, boop, and then we will take these pieces of mesh. Where's the mesh? Is the mesh in the house? I think so.
Yeah, it's in the front door.
Yes. The mesh. So these will get stapled to the underside of the holes.
I know, I'm like, I'm gonna go clear
So
blackberries in my shorts.
it'll look like this, and that will go up underneath in that gap there.
Can't let my
And so there's actually, and it's hard to see, but there's a like a couple of inches or a 1 inch gap underneath the sheathing of the roof and above the rafters. So there's some airflow going up and out through the house. And then these sort of mesh holes will help facilitate that and will help keep wasps out. Wasps and wafts. I don't know. There's the running joke. And facilitate a lack of moisture buildup on the inside of the house, or well, the inside of the walls. And that's pretty much it. The other major project we've got going on is the roof, which has just been a series of comedic errors. Some pieces of the roof have been accidentally shipped to Seattle. Here's the door that will get installed. I will need to coat this in some polyurethane. That hasn't happened yet. And it's got a window in it, which is super exciting. Hope to provide more information about roofing and the skylight. But feel pretty good about trim, sew fit, and fascia. And then someday we will put siding on. That will be an exciting day. Today is not that day. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday forecasted excessive amounts of rain, and indeed, it rained quite a bit, although it didn't start until the afternoon. And so we could not do the roofing in that weather, and Ben didn't want to do the siding in that weather. So he fucked off and left the work site. He sent a text message. It was like, "Bye, Felicia," and was gone all day. And I was just expected to entertain myself, I guess. So I did. Left unsupervised, I built a tongue box out of scraps. And it fits over the tongue frame. And I have left a giant mess here because the torrential downpour caught me not wanting to clean up a bunch of wood, although I did put the power tools away. Go me. And it is a sort of trapezoidal-y structure. And I will put in a shelf right here. And the batteries will go on this thing, and maybe the inverter. Hopefully everything fits. And I need to figure out a door, which I haven't yet. And then it will attach to the back of the house. There are studs right here under the window, and everything will get screwed in. And I will hydro gap the outside. I will probably paint the bottom with some kind of like marine varnish, like maybe the same stuff I'm using on the door to help waterproof it. And then we'll do some kind of flashing system around the top and like window tape the same as before. And then maybe there will be a little piece of galvanized roofing left to go over and roof it properly, so it will stay nice and dry and waterproof. And I don't fully understand the order of all those things, so I'm like clearly still not fully there with the waterproofing system. The other thing that we'll do is we will use sheet metal screws to go through the floor and into the tops of these to just add security and stability and make sure it doesn't wiggle around or anything. One thing I forgot to mention about the window installation is that windows have weep holes at the bottom. These weep holes have to be at the bottom. You cannot just turn a window that is designed to open one way another way, which is what a lot of people do. Don't do that. It's dumb. You're going to get water in your window. The other thing I did with my time yesterday is I put a coat of polyurethane on this door. One coat on this side. Or it's like spar varnish gloss, high gloss. So this needs several more coats. The other thing I did was I put a coat of marine spar varnish on this door. this is just one side and the edges. I will also need to do the other side and the frame, and I will need to do multiple coats, so it's a big pain in the ass, but it looks really nice. It turned out really well. There's a little bit of pooling at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. So I don't know if I'll sand that out or if I'll just live with it, but I don't see a lot of bubbles, although the lighting in here is not great. And it was nice. I enjoyed the process of finish work, which is good because there's going to be a lot of finish work. The real hero of the day was Kate, my girlfriend, who showed up in the morning after Ben had left with everything I needed to put a coat of varnish on the door and pot, and we already had some cider. And after I built the box and then it started to rain really hard, I just went and hung out in the tent. And we hotboxed the tent and ate chocolate chips and drank cider and took a nap and read erotica. And then after it rained a lot, we moved the door out from under the house and we put it in here. And she set up this little station in the corner where she just hung out on her mattress pad, and we listened to The Hobbit on audio tape as read by Gollum, whoever plays Gollum, Andrew something. And I varnished the door, and it was just one of the best days of my life. Honestly, I feel like I really accomplished something building that box all by myself and using all of the skills I've learned in the last couple of weeks, and then just getting a chance to hang out with her in a really cool way in the forest while the whole world was just either wet or on fire everywhere else. Let's acknowledge the public context. Yeah, it's really shitty what's going on in the world right now. It's going to be a very dangerous summer, and I'm scared. And I don't know what's going to happen. And also, my life is pretty good, and I'm lucky. And then we've got the exterior fully sided all the way around and trimmed out. A little bit of paint left for the trimmer on the door. I think it turned out really well. We'll get a good back view. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's cedar siding, came pre-stained or pre-varnished. And we spent the whole day today and a little bit of yesterday putting it up. There are a couple of things about putting up siding. One of them is that you want to make sure that the seams are random. So here's a seam, here's a seam, and we don't want them to be lined up in the same place because that looks bad. And we also don't want the seams to be the same on both sides of the house because that looks bad. So a fair bit of effort goes into making sure that the seams don't line up. We need to still nail in some of these boards. They're just stapled in. That's why they're kind of sticking out a little bit. The staples are kind of a placeholder. We used 6-inch jigs to put these up to make sure that they were level. I'll show you what that means. Maybe. Oh, where's my jig? Here's a jig. Yeah, so underneath each one, we have this pre-cut piece of board with a shim on the bottom. It just lines up real nice. So we had a couple of these. Ben and I would stand at each end of the board, hold these up, and then hand the stapler back and forth as we stapled. Other tricky things, you have to cut pieces out around the window to make sure that, it all lines up and looks pretty and flush. And that involves quite a bit of measuring and sometimes cutting more than once. We have screwed up a couple of pieces, but for the most part it worked out pretty well. What else? So the siding, just because you put it on with the jigs doesn't mean that it's straight. And so every so often, periodically, we would take a measuring tape and we would measure from the top of one of the siding pieces all the way up to like the roof pieces. Soffit, thank you, Ben. The roof soffit, to make sure that the distance on one side and the other side was the same. And then if it wasn't the same and something was like slightly off, you can sort of fudge the piece a little bit and just like move it up a little bit on one side so that it looks straight. So while it all looks straight, believe it or not, some of these are bent. I think the trickiest bits were the triangle corner pieces up there. And there are ways to do this with measuring where you like measure over 12 inches and then up 2 inches and then you draw a straight line and you kind of figure it out. You can also just take a piece of cardboard and kind of hold it up to where you need it to be and draw a line and sort of figure out that and like keep cutting the cardboard until it fits and then put the cardboard against a piece of wood and trace out a stencil and cut it. And the measuring thing takes less time if you do it right, but the cutting of the boards multiple times if you do it wrong fucks up a lot of wood. We did not use cardboard because Ben is a pro. So, yeah. But for future reference, cardboard, perhaps. The door had waterproofing stuff too. So we had to cut out a piece that was under the door. It might have been this piece. No, I don't know. To make sure that the door fit in the door jamb. So like you can see that the trim is here and then it stops. And then here's this baseboard or base plate and we cut it out underneath so that the door could fit. Then we wrapped the house wrap around the corners. If there's any like better view from the inside, maybe? Probably not. Well, we cut the house wrap and we wrapped it around the corners. We also cut it up in that like trapezoidal shape on the top, the same way we did for the windows. There was flashing tape in various places. There was a piece of ice and water shield underneath the door jamb left over from the roofing, so we used that. And then we shimmed out the door, so that's these, to make sure that it was square, because if you don't do that, then your door will get all crooked and then it won't open, close properly, or it'll squeak and be super annoying. And then we held up the door and we put the door in, we screwed the door in. Here's the screws. And then, on the outside, we had to add these pieces of trim, even though they're not fully finished. Like, I'll have to take them down and paint them, because we needed to measure out where the siding would go to. And then there's another piece of Z-flashing above the top of the door. Up there, you can see, to help water go down. The Z-flashing is underneath the siding and taped over with flashing tape. Yeah. Thanks for watching this super long video. I'm really tired. I will be home at some point tomorrow. And looking forward to seeing people and talking about what's next for this crazy summer project I have embarked upon. Peace.